I'd like to introduce Mia Kaltenbach, a high school student from Cooperstown and an athlete, and our 2024 ADK Teen Scholarship recipient. And she's here tonight with her mother, Maria. Thank you very much for joining us. Mia was just saying that she's an old pro at giving presentations like this because she's already given them to the Cooperstown Rotary Association and other organizations, so we appreciate that. In her application, Mia mentioned that her family camps in the ADKs, or in the Adirondacks, every summer and has hiked many of the high peaks, sorry. She has a passion for biology and nature, and this past July attended the Teen Trail Crew Woods Women Workshop, and we look forward to hearing about her adventures. And with her permission, Tom is videotaping the presentation for posterity. So, thank you, Mia.
Thank you, Mrs. Holmstrom, for that introduction. So as she said, I'm Mia Kaltenbach. I go to Cooperstown High School. I'm a senior this year. And over the past summer of 2024, I partook in the first ever Woods Women Trail Crew run out of the ADK Mountain Club. So this started early August, and we spent 5 days up in Heart Lake where we would go and hike a mile up every single day, carrying our packs right here. I'm a little nervous. We spent 5 days, we camped together. There were a total of 4 girls and the 2 crew leaders. So the group every single day, as I said, would hike a mile up every single day to reach our point of work, and we would carry our packs containing at least 3 different tools that we would use on there. We had a pickaxe, a sledgehammer, and most notably the rock bar, which is the large metal bar sticking outside on both ends of my pack, which would be used to lever rocks so we could move them. On top of that, I offered the first day to carry the food pack, which contained all of our meals, including snacks, lunches, and more snacks. Then on top of that, I have my own personal day pack, which contains raincoat, extra gloves, water, and a camelback as well for even more water to support us. My second picture over there has me and 2 other crew members. Unfortunately, our 4th crew member, she came a day late, so she wasn't there for the first ever picture. But that's me, and we all had crew names. So that's my crewmate, the first one on my right. Her name is, we called her Chops, specifically because she had a role of chopping food for us, so they came up with that name for her. And then next to us is Tiger, and they came from different areas. They all came for different reasons. Tiger was there as a volunteer for her NHS application, and Chops was there because she also goes camping in the ADK with family, and she loved the idea of helping. And then that last picture over there, about halfway up, I realized that this was a very intense hike, and the bag was really, really heavy, and I was sweating, and it was really hot out that day. So I decided this would be a great time to take a picture. So we had many different roles while we were up there, anywhere from crushing to make smaller areas to fill in between the larger rocks, as well as wedging rocks. So the first image is me holding a sledgehammer. We would go high up off of the trail so that hikers couldn't see us and wouldn't get hit by debris. And we would go and we would swing a hammer at multiple different sized rocks from any size, and we would work until they were crushed down to like tiny little pebbles so that they could fill up the area. The next picture, while we are doing that, little pieces of rock are flying everywhere. We are getting hit with them. We have earplugs and eye protection as always, but that doesn't protect our whole face. So I have a bunch of tiny little cuts from rocks and stuff like that nicely happened to me. And then next to that, it rained every single day that we were there for a few hours every single day. And so there was a lot of mud, and so we decided to make mudmen because there was no snow. So we made them out of mud. That was the last day. We gave them all hair and eyeballs and noses. And so that's how we spent some of our time up there, actually, instead of working. So like I said, with the multiple weapons, we use tools. with our tools. We used our rock bars that would help us lift up rocks, and then we would use the pickaxes to either dig around them or lift them up higher. So we actually, our largest rock, which is in this second picture here in the middle, we named Burma. And we actually found out in that screenshot next to me, it says Burma was probably made of Genesis, which has a density of 2,867 kilograms per cubic meter. And if we assume she was about 2 by 2 by 2 feet, that means that she was roughly 1,452 pounds. So we moved this over 1,000-pound rock from about 20 feet away from the trail, and we managed to move her all the way back down to get her to the trail, into place, and rotated. And it took us about 3 days just to get her out of the ground. So this is my slide just showing kind of the more relaxing side of things. This first picture is a lovely game that our crew leaders came up with called Derbs, and it's a food game. So on the plate you have Ritz crackers, and then you have a dollop of ketchup, you have a chunk of cheddar cheese, and Frank's hot sauce, specifically Frank's. You pass around the plate, you take a single Derb off every single time, and the person with the very last Derb has to put it on the edge of the plate and flip it in the air and hopefully catch it in their mouth. And you get 2 tries to do this, and if it hits the ground the first time, they don't care. You're trying again and you're going to eat it by the end, and you will have that camp spice that everybody loves. The picture in the middle there, that's of Heart Lake. One of the nights we would go swimming, and we would kind of enjoy ourselves once we had finished our work up there. It was a really nice night that night, so we were all swimming and having fun, relaxing in the water, rinsing off dirt. And then while we were sitting in the campsite, we would draw a multitude of things in the dirt and tell stories. We talked a lot about movies and things like that. One of the girls was from the city, and she had never seen the stars before due to the fact that she lived in the city. So the third night, we took her out to the center of the campground, and she looked up, and she had never been so amazed to see so many stars in the sky, which was really nice. So we pointed out constellations and stuff like that. So this is my whole crew. The first picture are me and my crewmates. So you have me on the, you guys are looking this way. You have me on the far left, and then we have Tiger on next to me, then we have Chops, and then that last one is the one that wasn't in the first picture. We called her Damps. She was the one from the city. It took her a while to get up there, which is why she couldn't unfortunately be in that first picture. Then the next picture in the middle, that is one of our crew leaders named Topol, and we never actually got to find out her real name. She wouldn't tell us. So that's her crew name. Her crew name is Topol, and we called her that the whole time, and that's what we know her as. And then that last picture over there, that's our other crew leader, whose crew name is Spunk. And so we called her Spunk the whole time for her personality, she says, which is spunky in her opinion. And so right here, this is all of the work that we had done. It measured up to be about 14 feet. We moved 12 decent-sized rocks, and then all of this is the crush in between them, which was made with the sledgehammer like I had spoken about earlier. So that came up from 5 days of just hiking and working up there. We spent about 3 to 4 hours up there every single day, just plugging along, slowly but surely.
Mia?
Yes.
I have a question. So, this section of trail.
Yes.
Why were they having you do that?
So due to all the rain, it had rained previously before this, but a lot of mud had come through and made it really slippery and dangerous, and there were no rocks there to begin with, so there was nothing holding the trail together kind of there. So that had been the area where we were asked to just fill it in and make it safer for people to travel, because without it, there was a giant sort of just like 2-foot drop where the water had run through and worn away all the ground and stuff like that, making it dangerous for hikers, so we'd been asked to fill it in.
So stabilizing the trail.
Yes.
On a slope. Thank you.
Yeah. On a downward slope. So these are just some more fun pictures of the crew. There would be different calls, different names that we would scream out. If it was snack time, they would call out snacks, and we would have to respond like monkeys. That was the request of our crew leaders. If they needed to know where one of us was, they would just scream out a name and we would have to respond with a howl. So there were all sorts of lovely little crew antics that we learned while we were up there. You can see more of the materials that we had carried. There's buckets. On top of the sledgehammers and the pickaxes, there were also mini sledgehammers and mini pickaxes. All of us had one each and a lot of material, and we would carry all of the tools. We carry all of the tools with us every single day. We will not say weapons again. I promise. I promise that's not what they were for. And so at the end, we ended up taking pictures. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of pictures because the majority of the time was spent working with the rocks, so I was afraid of breaking my phone or something like that, so I tried to keep it away as much as possible. So this is just towards the end. I just wanted to thank everyone for the opportunity to go do this. It was a truly humbling, empowering, and wonderful experience to realize how much work really goes into maintaining the trails that we don't always appreciate because we don't know what they do for us. So thank you so much for providing the funding and stuff like that for me.
Did you tell us what your nickname was?
My nickname was Early Bird, and solely because we were requested to get up at 7, and I tended to wake up at like 5:30 with no alarm. I didn't wake anyone else up in the process. I just woke up and I was there, awake before everyone else. So I got the nickname Early Bird.
How are the worms?
Oh yeah, they're great, you know? Especially when they're on derbs. Amazing. So any other questions, much like what was asked earlier, if anyone wants to know something in the back?
What was the name of the trail, or where was this trail connecting to?
So this trail just connected, it went around Heart Lake, and then it connected, I don't know where it connected, it was a lovely trail around Heart Lake, and it had one peaking area. I forget what mountain it was on though. That's what it was, yeah, Mount Joe.
It was going up Mount Joe?
Yep, so we were going up Mount Joe, and this was the long trail. There was a short trail and a long trail. So we took the long trail every day, about a mile in, and we would stop, come off the trail, take off our packs, get all the stuff out, and then get started. And if we wanted to get a rock, we had to make sure that it was at least 10 feet away from the trail where the hikers couldn't see us and they couldn't notice we took a rock from the ground. So all of these rocks were moved at least 10 feet before they made it to our trail. So that was nice. You had one in the back, sir?
Yeah. Was there an educational component there about what you were doing, geology or
Yep.
sustainability or?
Yeah, so we learned a lot about the rocks and how they provided all that stuff, along with the roots and such of the trees mostly that held the trails together, and the sides especially, because we often ended up having to break roots and move roots, so we learned a lot about the erosion on the mountain and stuff like that. Especially, we learned a lot of the types of rocks. Like I said, Burma was Genesis, and a lot of stuff like that we were taught, which definitely helped experience that. And then just overall learning all of the work and how much goes into doing this and taking care of our environment, like we said before.
I think the word is Denise.
It's nice.
Denise.
Nice.
Genice.
Nice.
Janice. Genice, just like we were talking about earlier. Silent letters. Genice.
Did your instructors say Genesis?
Oh, no, I don't think so. But I wasn't talking to them when we got this message, so I just assumed that that's what it was. I just said Genesis.
It's nice.
Yeah, they're all letters. I'm going off phonetic soundings. Yeah. Nice. Goodness.
Some of us here have hiked that trail many times. We appreciate what you do.
Thank you. Yeah, it was nice. And it was nice because the last day we decided to hike the whole way, and that was really nice to see the landscape completely and the view at the end, and it was all really nice to see. It is a beautiful trail.
So your work on the trail, did you redirect any of the water so that it wouldn't erode the trail? It was hard to tell.
Yeah, so it was mostly those rocks. The point of the larger rocks was to hopefully just move the water, and then the little crushed rubble was to let just the water pass through without it really moving too much of anything. And it made it safer that it could go underneath the rocks and people could step over top of those little rocks. So that was mostly our redirection of water.
I have a question. How did you all feel about your strength as women? I think You look like you're pretty fit. There was a picture there where your muscles are showing.
Yeah.
That one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you know, typically men have more upper body strength than women. Did you guys feel that you were struggling, or were the tools making it possible to do?
So definitely in the first day we noticed this was a lot of, especially the packs on our first walk up, was we realized it was a lot heavier than we thought it was going to be. So when we first put them on, and the crew leaders told us, "So they're heavy." We first put them on, we were like, "Oh, this isn't that heavy." And then we got hiking, and we were like, "All right, I take it back. It's really heavy." The tools, they were a lot heavier as long as we knew the momentum that we needed and how to really power down and throw the sledgehammers down onto the rocks and stuff like that. It made it easier once you figured out the motion and the momentum. Moving the rocks was a big struggle. Like I said, with Burma, the bigger one, she took 3 days of just trying to get her out and trying to move her with the rock bars. And every now and then, maybe we'd move her like an inch or so, and we would celebrate. We would be so happy that she moved. But towards the end, we finally got her to flip over, and then we started to just roll her because it made it easier. But it was, like I said, a humbling and empowering experience all in one. You realize you're not as strong as you think you are, but then you get stronger throughout it.
Have you continued any friendships from your group? Are you guys still socializing with text and
Yep.
Facebook shares and
Yeah,
whatever
so
you do?
we all have a group chat together. That's where that message about Burma came through. And we all check in regularly. I actually let them know that I was doing this presentation, and they gave me ideas and sent me pictures and stuff like that that I could use for it. So we're all regularly talking, not as much as I'm sure we'd hope to be, but that's kind of what's difficult about being so far apart from each other. But we still talk, and we keep in general contact and like to let each other know what's going on with ourselves and stuff like that. So yeah, it's nice. Yes?
Did this week-long experience will it have anything to do with future choices you may have in school or in learning or avocation?
So I always said that I would love to do this again, maybe, especially since we go camping every single year. I'll always be up in the Adirondacks around the same time of year, so I let my crew leaders know that I'd be around, and if they had anything to offer or they needed something, that I would love to come again and do stuff like this, or that I would volunteer again. They said they wanted to do this women's group again. This was the first year where they actually did a women's group led by women. So it was definitely an option, and I told them that I would always love to do it. As far as educational, like my future in college, I'm going for exercise science to go be an athletic trainer. So this maybe might not have changed my persona, but it's something that I would love to continue doing in the summers, especially when I have the time. Yes, Mom?
How do you feel about a women group led by women compared to other with, boys and girls?
I think there was a different level of connectiveness, actually. I think we all got to connect on a different kind of level. We all slept and shared in the same tents. We all went swimming together, had the same connections, there were the same showers and everything. So we were all constantly talking and always together, and it felt different compared to like summer camp hiking with a group of boys and girls, or camping with a group of boys and girls. It felt like we got to know each other on a much deeper level, and we know a lot about each other.
Where were your mates from? One was New York City.
So, yep, one was from New York City, one was, I want to say, Schenectady.
Okay.
And then the other one, she was from the Adirondack area, actually. She was pretty local. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we named the rock a woman. That rock's a woman. That rock is a female.
Yeah.
She was huge. Yeah. She was
I would
big.
have left her alone.
We didn't want to. That was the problem. We got very stubborn because they told us, they said she's a lost cause. Just leave it alone.
Oh, no.
We did not want to leave her alone, so we kept going.
Put up the challenge.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's great.
It's nice and rock is not gonna
You were
move.
certainly up for the pep challenge and had a great time. But you were doing hard stuff and the weather was not so great.
Yeah.
Did it still leave you with the feeling that you would want to suggest this for some of your friends to try to do, or do you think it was?
Yeah, of course. I've talked to plenty of friends about this experience. They asked me how my vacation was. I said I wasn't on vacation. I said I was up there working. And I've told them lots about this. I told them about the experience and the learning about the different tools and the mountains up there and just being able to get, it's a different kind of connection to nature, I think, especially with it. So I've been talking to a lot of people about it, especially the grades below me, because as seniors, we're not necessarily thinking about summer scholarships as much as we are scholarships for school. But I've been talking to a lot of my sophomore and junior classmates to see how they feel about it. And some of them are most certainly interested, especially some of the kids who do like Outward Bound and stuff like that, which is something similar to this, or the Odyssey, which is like a canoeing trip and stuff like that, which is similar to just getting out there and doing nature like this. And they've all found it very interesting. So I definitely hope that they take this into serious consideration. But yeah, I love spreading the word.
Did you go all the way to the top,
Mm-hmm.
of course, and see Heart Lake?
Yeah.
And almost a 360-degree
Mm-hmm, yeah.
view of the Adirondacks.
Yeah, it was beautiful seeing it. The very last day for lunch, we decided to go up, and we sat there and ate our food, and we looked, and we just took it all in. That's the best way to say it.
It's not a very high
No,
as far as the mountains go, but
no, but you can see so much from the top.
worthwhile climbing.
Yeah,
And you're making it fast.
yeah, it was beautiful. It was a wonderful experience.
Were you camping in the lodge campground?
No, we were so my family camps at Brown Track Pond, and then we were camping, not on the lodge campsite, but just a little ways out away from it, actually, just to avoid some of the other campers, but not too far from them.
So did you use their bathrooms and so on?
Yeah, we would go in and use their showers. Yes, we would. we went and used their showers. Although the women's shower was broken, and it only gave cold water. So we were showering in cold water, but it was still a shower, so we used it.
You could have had somebody stand at the door.
We used the men's once, and we made sure that no one came in. Yeah.
All right, thank you.